Hey folks, this is Dustin. I am the PR and brand manager
Hey.
for DayZ, and this is Andy, our QA lead. And today we are answering some of your questions that you asked on Twitter and on the DayZ forums about QA. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Uh, First question, uh, how would you describe QA and what does your job encompass? Do you have a lot of difficult tasks to do yourself, or is it more of a streamlined process of just forwarding issues?
All right, so usually I come to work. We have a meeting in the morning with all the other department leads, so I can see what's being worked on, what's been finished, what's just been now started, and so that we can clear up on the priorities. We want to make sure that we know when the next release is coming up. We want to make sure that we all know are on the same page what's going to be in there, what needs to be tested, what needs to be developed by then. So essentially, I get a good idea on the morning meeting, and then I go back to the office. I decide what tasks will be done on that day. I distribute these tasks among my employees who will be responsible for finishing them. And then I'm mostly sitting there. Of course, I try to look at all the new features that we get in that game that day. So I try to see for myself to get a good idea. And then I mostly just work with the testers. I'm sort of a medium between them and the developers. Plus, sometimes I prepare the testing tools or various plans for tests of new features or new items, stuff like that. But the major part of my job is being between the developers and the testers and just making sure that the communication flows smoothly, the information gets where it's supposed to get. That's probably it.
Next question. Uh, can you guys even enjoy the games that you QA? So I imagine that you spend a lot of time in game repeating the same process over and over again. So does that kind of kill the joy of just playing DayZ?
Yeah, yeah. Well, the thing is, testing is not really like playing, so and it's not like you test so much that you get bored of playing because testing is still something different. But it's true that when playing after testing, you will notice a lot of stuff you would not notice otherwise. And yeah, that can be a bit bothersome, and the experience is definitely different than that of a regular player. But I would still say that testing is something else than playing. You really have to do stuff over and over again. You don't really get to actually play the game usually. So I think most of the testers can still enjoy DayZ in their free time.
How many people are working solely on QA at Bohemia Interactive for DayZ?
That would be about 10 full-timers and about 40 part-timers.
And are the part-time testers, are they freelancers? Are they local? Are they all over the world?
They are all with us here in Prague. It's like local part-timers.
Cool. So how do you test a new feature in the game?
All right, so it depends because a feature can be a lot of different things, but the primary thing is always, getting the information from the developers, as much of the information as we can, how it's supposed to work, how it's not supposed to work. And then we essentially come up with a testing plan. We prepare a plan for how to test this mechanic. Sometimes we already have the plan prepared, where it's, for example, a new weapon. So we already, follow the same plan for a new weapon. But some other features, we will have to create a whole new testing plan because it's a new stuff for us. So yeah, the first thing is get as much information as you can, and the second thing is just prepare accordingly.
Is there a set of tests that is repeated before each release?
Oh yeah, not only before each release, but we try to do a lot of tests periodically, and obviously before the release, there's a couple of them which have to be done before every release. Yes.
How do you test long-term behavior? Do you have the option to speed up the time to simulate different things?
Oh, we have a couple of similar options, but sometimes we just have to wait it out. But usually we can speed up time or do something along those lines that will help us reproduce the situation without having to wait. So yeah, we try to automate the testing here.
And what's an example of something that you just have to wait for?
Well, essentially, if we see something that we're not capable of reproducing with using our own tools, then we just have to wait it out and see what happens. A specific example would be certain loot behavior, for example, which we just had to wait to see if something gets deleted or not, because we were not able to reproduce it no matter what tools and audit tests we used. So sometimes you gotta wait.
So that can get pretty time consuming.
Well, yeah, but you just turn it on and you wait and see.
Yeah. How much power do you have to say that something is too broken or something isn't ready for the public?
Well, technically, the only people who can veto my opinion on this are the producers and the project lead. So we do have quite a say, but it really changes the priorities. It's early access, so stuff happens, stuff goes well, stuff goes wrong. So it really depends on the situation. Sometimes we can just block the release. Sometimes the priorities are elsewhere. We decide we'll go with this. And yeah, essentially that's it. Cannot really say that we have certain level of priority in this every single time because it really differs situation to situation.
How does working in QA for an early access title differ to traditional QA work?
It's definitely different because you have to release stuff and you have to react to what the people think about what you released. So the priorities can change pretty suddenly. We sometimes have to focus on something else than we would like to focus on at that moment, and we essentially have to react at what the players feel about the game, which is very different from testing a regular development game, definitely.
And how does DayZ's huge QA player base help or hinder the game?
I would say there's no hindrance at all. All we get is more information from the players, which is amazing. So I would say it's definitely a big help. Every single person that has ever reported a ticket, I'm pretty grateful.
And finally, what do you think is the quality of the average bug report, and where can players improve when describing bugs?
Well, I would say that the average bug report is obviously average, but that's usually pretty good for us. Where the players could improve, a lot of the players actually made great reports. They could work in QA, no questions. But what's really important when reporting a ticket is getting the sequence of events that led to the bug together. So just try to make it steps. You know, I did this, I did that, then this happened. Preferably if you could try multiple times so you can tell us, this bug occurs 2 out of 5 times I've tried it, or maybe 10 out of 10 times. So that's pretty important, just trying to get the sequence of events which will allow us to reproduce the issue and then analyze it much more easily. What's also great is videos or screenshots never hurts. So that's probably it.
All right, cool. Well, that is it. So
All
that
right.
is our QA Q&A. Thank you for answering all these questions, Andy,
Thank you.
and stay tuned for our next video.